have been central to human culture and communications throughout history, serving as powerful tools to convey complex ideas, beliefs and emotions. From early cave paintings to religious status to national flags, symbols have shaped civilizations by creating shared meanings and uniting people around common identities and values. For example, in ancient Egypt, symbols like the ankh represented life and were integral to spiritual beliefs, while in medieval Europe, symbols distinguished family lineage and status. During the Resistance, artists used symbols to express complex philosophical and religious ideas, embedding layers of meaning in their art. Political symbols like the hammer and the sickle, or the dove of peace, have also played significant roles, encapsulating entire ideologies within simple, recognizable imagery. Today, symbols are used like the Universal Red Cross as a sign of medical aid, to emojis that convey emotions in digital conversations. The persistence and evolution of symbols reflect humanity's need for connection, expression, and identity across diverse cultures and eras. Throughout history, symbols have been adaptable yet enduring, bridging people across time and place. Their continued use underscores our fundamental desire to communicate beyond words, linking us to our ancestors while adapting to the demands of the modern world. Symbols are often everywhere we look. After a video I did going through a Scottish graveyard to tell the tale of one of the Scottish witches that sadly lost their lives during the witch hunts, I will put a link to this video in the description below. But there was a lot of comments about the skull and crossbones, which can be found on the gravestones, but the question was why. Today we often think of the skull and crossbones indicating pirates, or used on bottles which contain poisons. So join me as we delve into the history of this symbol. The skull and crossbones is one of the most enduring symbols in human history, consisting of a human skull with two crossbones beneath it. This symbol has conveyed everything from religious reminders of mortality to warnings of danger. Over time, it has also evolved into a symbol of rebellion, strength in popular culture. The skull and crossbones journey through time reflects society's changing perspectives on life, death and power. While the symbol has often associated with pirates in popular culture, its use on gravestones has no connection to piracy. When I started to look into this more, I was a little shocked to read about the Knights Templars' association with the skull and crossbones, which it seems to be shrouded in mystery, blending history, symbolism and myth. While it seems there is no definite evidence that the Templars widely used this symbol, it has been linked to them in several ways. One connection comes with the burial practices. Some Templars' graves reportedly featured a skull and crossbones, possibly as a reflection of the Christian themes of morality, humanity and resurrection. The skull and crossbones also align with the medieval memento mori motif, reminding individuals of the inevitable of death and the importance of leading a virtuous life, an idea resonating with the Templars' religious mission. So it could be possible that this is where placing the skull and crossbones on gravestones started. Legends and folklore have further amplified the connection. Some claim that after the Templars' suppression in 1312, their legacy influenced pirate culture, leading to the adoption of the iconic Jolly Roger flag. Others link the symbol to Freemasonry, which often claims inspiration for the Templars. Additionally, the perspection and execution of the Templars, including the burning of the Grand Master, cementing their image as martyrs, with the skull and crossbones potentially symbolising their sacrifice. Although the true extent of the Templars' use of this emblem is unclear, its later adoption in various contexts has perpetuated its association with the mystery and enduring legacy. Although we see the skull and crossbones as a symbol of piracy, piracy itself has long and storied history, stretching back to ancient times when seafaring became essential for trade and travel. The earliest known pirates appeared around 1200 BC, including the infamous Sea Peoples, who attacked ships and coastal cities. During the Roman Republic, piracy was rampant, with pirates famously capturing Julius Caesar in 75 BC, before he retaliated and executed them. The Vikings became legendary for their raids across Europe from the 8th to 11th centuries, using longships to strike as far as North America. Meanwhile, piracy thrived in the Indian Ocean in Eastern Asia, where Arabic and Chinese pirates plundered ships and coastal settlements. The so-called Golden Age of Piracy, around 1650 to 1730, became the most iconic period, marked by infamous figures like Blackbeard. The era emerged in the wake of the European colonisation and the rise of trade, as privateers, state-sanctioned pirates, turned rogue following the end of wars. Private havens such as the Bahamas provided bases for these seafarers, who targeted treasure-laden ships in the Caribbean, Atlantic and Indian Oceans. Piracy began to decline as European navies strengthened and international anti-piracy laws were enforced. The Jolly Roger, the iconic black flag featuring a skull and crossbones, is one of the most enduring symbols of piracy. By the early 18th century, pirates adopted black flags with skulls, skeletons or crossed weapons to intimidate their victims into surrendering it without a fight. Each pirate captain often personalised their version of the Jolly Roger. For instance, Blackbeard's flag depicted a skeleton holding a spear and hourglass, symbolising death and the fleeting nature of life. These flags were not only tools of psychological warfare, but also marked the clear declaration of pirates' defiance against the maritime laws. Over time, the Jolly Roger had become a universal emblem of rebellion, adventure, and the swashbuckling spirit of piracy. The military also adopted the skull and crossbones, not as a sign of surrender, but as a badge of fearlessness in the face of death. One of the earliest uses in the military was the percussion cavalry units in the 18th century, the insignia to signify their courage and willingness to die in the battle. The skull and crossbones in military has been used through the world, generally symbolise the willingness to face death bravely, transforming it from a symbol of warning to one of warrior and pride. In the 19th century, the skull and crossbones found a new role as a symbol of poison and hazardous materials. Chemists and manufacturers began using it to mark substances that were toxic, signalling that contact and ingestion could result in death. The association of the skull and crossbones with poison spread globally, and it remains one of the most universally recognized hazard symbols. This new use of skull and crossbones as a warning kept its historical connection to death, while marking it relevant to the industrial and scientific era. This symbol's simplicity and unmistakable meaning made it perfect for warning labels, where it would immediately communicate a sense of danger. So over the years, this symbol has been used many times for slightly different reasons. Why this symbol? Well, we'll never know, but the skull and crossbones is a stark symbol. It stops you in its tracks as you can't help but notice it. So the reason for the skull and crossbones motif on gravestones, which emerged during the late medieval and early modern periods, is a stark reminder of mortality. This symbolism was intended to confront the viewers with the inevitability of death, encouraging them to reflect on the nature of earthly life and prepare their soul for the afterlife. The imagery of the skull and crossbones evoked the universal fate of humanity returning to dust. Such markers were particularly prevalent during times of high mortality, such as plagues, when reminders of life's short-lived were essentially poignant. By depicting death so vividly, these gravestones served as both warnings and as spiritual prompts, urging the living to focus on repentance and eternal salvation. This symbol, with its extraordinary history, from its beginnings as a medieval reminder of death to its widespread use by pirates, soldiers, and chemical manufacturers. Over centuries it has evolved and adapted, becoming one of the most enduring images in human culture. Its transition from memento mori to a modern-day emblem of rebellion reflects society's changing relationships with the ideas of death, danger, and power. Whether viewed as a religious reminder, a pirate's threat, a soldier's badge, or a pop culture statement, the skull and crossbones remains a symbol that resonates deeply with humanity's universal fears and aspirations. So in summary, the skull and crossbones has remained a poignant symbol throughout history, evolving from the sombre reminder of mortality on gravestones to an enduring emblem of danger, rebellion, and defiancy in various contexts. Its universal recognition underscores its timeless impact as a symbol of life's fragility and the inevitability of death. Thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel. I truly appreciate every single one of you. Whether you're a viewer, subscriber, Patreon supporter or channel member, your continued encouragement and generosity means the world to me and allows me to keep creating content we are passionate about. I cannot do this without you, and I am so grateful to have such an amazing community. Thank you for being part of this journey. And until the next time, stay safe.